The Mets ended up getting another one in the ninth when Starling Marte with the bases loaded. Once again, another Met gets hit by a pitch, wore one
Mm-hmm.
off the arm really hard, and stood there like, you got to be, excuse my language, he goes, you got to be fucking kidding me, man. You know it wasn't on purpose because the bases were loaded in a 2-0 game, but come on,
Come
like this
on.
is getting crazy. Is basically what he was saying.
You want a fun stat here, Jerry? It's not fun.
Yes.
It's actually gets my blood going a little bit. The Mets have 19 hit batters on the season. That far and away leads MLB. 19, second place is 13 with the Orioles. The Pirates, Astros, White Sox, Royals, all combined with the Tigers as well, have 18 combined. That's 5 different teams that don't even amount to the amount of times the Mets have been hit. So, if you find yourself wondering why what happened in Game 3 next happened, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty good reason there. I mean, it's just kind of, it led to a run here, which is always great, but you don't want your guys risking injury and getting hit all the time. I know that we have guys that like thrive on it, like Nimmo and Canna, but at the same time, it's too much.
Nobody wants to get hit anymore.
No.
Like guys throw too hard. You're too vulnerable for big chunks of time missed. Understanding that it's not on purpose, but it doesn't matter. Intent at this point doesn't matter because it needs to stop happening.
Yeah.
If you can't control it to where the Mets get hit all the time, then the Mets are going to have to stand up for themselves. Even if it wasn't on purpose, that has to be in your head that if I even hit this team on accident, that my guys are going to pay the price. So if you're trying to pitch up in the zone and you don't have control, guess what? You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because if you plunk one of our guys on accident, we're going after your best players on purpose because you need to learn how to control it. This is the big leagues. So this is it. This is it. The Mets are fed up. This is the big leagues. These are guys that are at the top of their game pitching wise that should be able to control it. One here, one there. Even when Lindor got hit in the face the first time, they were like, what's the big deal? McCann almost gets hit in the first in Washington. They're like, look, this is crazy. Like, we understand that there's no intent to do it, but come on. We're here. How many did you say? 19?
19 on the season.
19 on the season and way too many up at people's heads. Alonso gets hit in the head again. Wild. Like this just shouldn't happen. It can't happen anymore.
Yeah.
There's no more. The entire league, anybody that comes in to face the Mets is now aware that this team has been hit unintentionally or intentionally too many times to know that if you hit one of our guys, like with a fastball, especially up, your guys are going to get plunked. I don't care who it is. I don't care what it is. The whole league is on notice now because the Mets have to stand up for themselves. So that's where we are.
I wholeheartedly agree. It's a tough perspective to understand if you are a Cardinals fan or an opposing fan where you feel like none of these hit by pitches were intentional and that retaliation wasn't deserved or anything like that. But, like, I'm glad that the Mets have a little bit of, like, the enemy status in them. Like, play up to being the bad guy. Play up to, like, standing up for your team and not taking any bullshit from other teams. Like, it's a very old saying, but if you can't throw high and tight, if you're in the major leagues and you can't throw high and tight without hitting a guy, then you shouldn't be throwing there. You shouldn't be throwing at the big leagues.
Absolutely.
And, like, we can talk about the balls. Like, Bassett talked a lot about, like, the grip of the balls and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, the Mets have 6 more hit by pitches than any other team in baseball. Only 5 teams have above 10, and they have 19. And in 20 games, that's ridiculous.
We had Dom Smith get hit on a breaking ball, not a big deal, but still another hit by pitch. And then you had Pete Alonso get hit in the head again for the second time this season. And then Marte wears one hard up in the arm for an RBI. None of them are on purpose, but guess what? Like that, you have to be able to control yourself now. Like it's beyond anything. So understand going in when you're facing the New York Mets, they've been classy. The Mets have been classy. Buck Showalter has led them in the proper direction. But now it becomes, all right, we're not going to let you be, we're literally not going to be a pincushion for you to just punch whenever. We're not a punching bag. I don't care how many times we're going to beat you on the field. We're not going to let you just get sucker punches in. It's gone too far, too quickly, too early in this season. Because if they don't start standing up for themselves, teams are just going to still feel comfortable to throw the ball up and in. And if it gets away, it gets away. They're not going to feel the pressure to hit their spots. And the pressure that they need to feel is real now.
Yeah. I mean, this all came to a boil over point in Game 3. Genesis Cabrera hits J.D. Davis pretty hard in the foot. J.D. had to come out of the game. X-rays were negative, so he's not going to hit the IL or anything, but he's very sore. This is on his birthday, too. Tough luck for J.D. And then, I mean, Yohan Lopez said in the postgame that he was not intending to throw that high and tight at Nolan Arenado, but when it happened, it sure seemed like it made a lot of sense and that a lot of people saw it coming. In the 8th inning, they throw at Nolan Arenado. They don't hit him, but Nolan kind of, charges the man a little bit, throws Nido out of the way. The bench is empty. A little bit of punches were thrown. Pete Alonso gets dragged to the ground. It's a very, high-intensity fight that we haven't really seen from the Mets in a while. We've seen, we saw the benches clear against the Yankees last year. That was kind of all good and fun, kind of a silly fight in general. This one is much more real. This is the frustrations of a team that has been dealing with this every single game of the season, and they won another series, but at the same time, like every day, it kind of seems like these guys are just at risk of getting hit high and tight over and over and over again. And I think that this kind of reaction was important for this team. I think this team needs to show a little bit of fire. You have a new manager, you have kind of a new identity as a team as well, and you need to show teams that you're not willing to put up with any bullshit and not willing to just get walked all over like maybe some prior Mets teams would have. So the scrum happens, the Cardinals win the rubber match, the Mets take the series. But I think that there's a lot of fire in this team now going into a very heated series against Philadelphia at home this weekend.
Couple of things. First of all, I love Nolan Arenado as a player. I think he's a phenomenal athlete, talent. I like the way he plays the game. There's a little bit of history of him there. So when he was with the Rockies, the Rockies had hit the Padres a few times. I don't even remember what year, but Luis Perdomo was pitching, threw at Arenado, and Arenado charged the mound.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Arenado charging the mound there. Your guys, they put a guy on the DL for the Padres, and they said, we're going to hit Arenado. This is your best guy. You got to wear one for the team. Arenado didn't appreciate it. In this situation, I understand Arenado's thought because Yohan Lopez isn't the guy that should be doing it.
Yeah.
It should be a Trevor May, an established guy that has some control, that dots him in the ribs, hits him. You aim for right above the hip and you have a little bit of leeway there. You throw at him one time and you hit him and it's over. He would have walked to first, but he didn't like the fact that Lopez missed up right by his head. Well, guess what, dude? This is the whole reason why we're throwing at you, is because the Mets have been, even by your team, who just hit Pete Alonso in the head. It was on, I think it was a changeup, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I understand why he was heated. If the Mets were perfect in the sense, it wouldn't have been Yohan Lopez, because it shouldn't be a guy that's just a guy. No offense to him, but on this team, you need a guy established that you can stand, that knows how to do it, knows how to control it, to plunk him.
Yeah.
Hit him in the ribs. He goes down to first, but what he was pissed. He was like, yo, you're going to, after all this bullshit, you're going to pull the same stuff and miss up. So I understand why he got heated. Don't touch Nido.
Yeah. I mean,
don't throw Nido.
Whoever
I think their first base coach grabbed Alonso and started wrestling him because Pete was very angry.
We had a collar neck on Alonso, and then 5 guys.
Don't touch Pete Alonso either. That got me going.
Yeah.
Let the guys come in and speak their mind, because at this point they've earned the right to stick up for themselves.
Here's my thing that really annoyed me about a lot of Cardinals fans that I was talking about this with. The rationale was like, okay, well, when they hit Pete, it was a changeup. One, if you're locating a changeup way up high and tight, I don't know what you're doing. That's like a pitch you need to try and get him to chase. That's a whole nother discussion. At the same time, if you can't locate your changeup, you shouldn't be throwing it. Throw your fastball, whatever. At the same time, when Chris Bassett makes his comments in the postgame and blames the balls and tries to address MLB on it, a Cardinals pitcher, Miles Mikolas, who just shut us out for 7 innings, so props to him, tells Bassett and tells the media, it's not the ball's fault. Take some accountability for the pitches that you throw. If you can't play both sides in that case. If you have a player on your team saying the pitchers are responsible for where they throw the ball because he was mad at Bassett for throwing at Cardinals players, then you can't play that card when your player gets hit in that same vein. You can't play both sides. So, I mean, I get where they're coming from with the changeup standpoint, but at the same time, Pete Alonso's gotten hit in the head twice this season. If you expect the team to not retaliate, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I like the Cardinals. They have a good, solid team. They did what they felt was necessary, and I don't disagree with anything that they did besides the Nido and whatever coach grabbed.
I forget his name.
Alonso. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
But stand up for yourself. You should be mad that he missed up towards your head, because those are career enders. Those are life enders if you get hit properly.
Chris Bassett got hit in the head. Like, he was speaking
There's
from
a
experience.
reason why the Mets were so angry, but it is all those factors. Bassett is right that the balls are terrible. It's the reason why MLB let the pitchers start to use sticky stuff in the first place, because they know the balls are trash.
Yep.
The players took it way too far, started to take advantage, because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. It is. But instead of addressing the problem, which is the baseball, they just got rid of the solution of the bad problem. And now you're seeing and there's a lot of this is an era of, if you have the stuff, we're going to bring you to the big leagues because you're cheap. So a lot of bullpen guys come in. They know they can throw the shit out of the ball. They can, excuse my language this episode, but I'm fired up.
We're hot right now.
They can throw the ball really hard, have high spin rates, and have good stuff. They have not earned the right or earned the ability to know exactly how to use their stuff. Yeah. They don't have the same experiences of pitching like this. So what used to be guys that have a lot of control, by the time you get to the big leagues, you've learned how to harness your stuff. Now you just get put in the big leagues when you have big league stuff. You may not know how to locate it or consistently, handle different atmospheres and elevations to be able to control your stuff. And so you have this perfect storm of inconsistent baseball, guys that have extreme velocity, pitching up in the zone as an effect on purpose, which is pretty much new. And then you have guys that have amazing stuff that don't have the same amount of control of guys in the past. So you have all these things working against or working towards guys or teams like the Mets getting hit more often. And it happened too often. And now the Mets are saying it's not going to happen again. If you do it again, your guy's getting dotted. I don't care what pitch it is. I don't care what happens. I don't care if it was on purpose or not. We're not putting up with it anymore. We did the right thing for this whole beginning of the season, and it's over. Everybody should be aware that the Mets will stand up for themselves upon first. Yep. You no longer get the benefit of the doubt. Any team that comes in and plays against the New York Mets, whether we're at your place or ours, we are going to stand up for ourselves. And I love it. Teams are going to know it's going to be a real thing. And if their pitching coaches and their players don't discuss it when they talk about scouting reports, then this is going to continue to happen. And if it happens again, guess what? The next team better understand in their scouting reports that if you hit a Met, you can still pitch inside. I would still try to throw inside. And if I hit a guy, I hit a guy, because you have to be able to throw in to be effective. But understand there's going to be some consequences, because the Mets have earned the right to be defensive.